Welcome to another episode of Simplexity podcast series. In our lives, we have a choice to grip on something or hold on to something or let go of it and live peacefully. To examine and understand this better, today I have Kiru, Krithiga Thangadurai, a friend of mine, and she has seen the life which we all would like to understand. How did she let go in each phase of her life, that she could help us take that courage and go through the life so that we can be as successful as Kiru. With that, Kiru, welcome.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you very much for a very, very kind introduction. And when I heard from you about being on this podcast, and when I heard the topic was letting go, I couldn't be happier, because this is something that deeply resonates with me. And we've only had a very few interactions, and I was really amazed how you could pick this topic for me. So very humbled in being a guest in your podcast, and look forward to our conversation.
Thanks a lot, Kiru. Appreciate that, and we are glad to have you and examine let go. So, what does let go mean to you? Why is that resonate? Why does it resonate so much with you?
Yeah. I'm going to do a lot of storytelling as well. So just letting you know upfront, I learn through storytelling, and I do learn through a lot of books that I do read. They've been my personal mentors, though I personally haven't learned from anyone. Now, answering this question, it took a long time for me to understand that letting go is not completely changing yourself just to be someone to the society, or it's not about giving up what you dearly like. But I have understood that letting go is making space. It's giving space so what your future self needs falls into place. So for me, it's a very conscious choice. To stop gripping on something, what was serving you in the past, which has brought you to this place today, but it's not going to serve you moving forward. So you need to let go. And I don't want to grip to anything that is preventing me from my future goals. So for me, it's a very conscious choice, and it's about floating rather than me trying to fight the waves, if you could put that. And the very first lesson for me, if you don't mind me sharing, is actually from my grandmother. And I was born in a very abusive household, and there was a lot of physical and mental abuse because my father was alcoholic and few other problems. So it was a turbulent childhood, and because of that, we always had an urge to learn well, get the grades, and get out of the house and be independent as an Indian woman. And that served me for a while. But what happened to me was, in my late teens, I started becoming a very, very angry teenager. And one day my grandmother actually pulled me up and she said, "You are not letting go of the hurt and the hatred that you're holding against your father. And I could see you turning into him as a result." She said, "It served you to get good grades, to be where you are, you're independent, but you have to let go, because you are a beautiful human inside out. And if you want your life to be completely different and for the one that you make, you have to let go of it." And that was a slap on my face. And I knew just by holding on to the hatred, I was becoming someone that I truly hated and didn't want to become. And that was my first lesson of letting go.
That's a profound story, Kiru. Going through a phase in life and letting it go and embracing it, right? Embracing it to and turn it around, and it's okay, and it's okay, and turning it around for yourself and making yourself much more like your grandmother said, like, beautiful inside and out. So that's I wish everyone had a grandmother like you, and encourage people to take it up. Thank you. That's an really touching story. Appreciate that. When in a complex situation, right? So, why do you think letting go would help professionals or people to get out of it and try to build over it?
Okay. See, part of me as a professional, I do a lot of change management work, be it digital transformation or be it culture change. I've done that for many large organizations and global organizations. So I've been consistently part of these complex situations professionally. And as you know, the personal domain is another giant when it comes to complexities. And as human beings, we do complexify, even if that's a word, the simple things in life. So for me, how it helps is, for example, I was part of a cultural transformation in a large global organization. And when you're part of these organizations, it humbles you in a lot of ways, that you go through these transformation journeys, you understand you don't have all the answers, you don't have all the information, and there is a million moving parts. When there are different office locations located in different parts of the world, that adds another layer to it, the language, the culture that comes with it, and how much at the end of the day you're also constrained by a budget, on how you can deliver, and how can I deliver an initiative that actually makes sense to all cultures and still adds value and takes them on the journey of culture. So all these plays in, and I always go back and refer to, I might be wrong in the pronunciation, but there's something called Canavan, a framework. It splits any change into major domains. And one thing I've learned being part of these transformation is that the cause and effect, you only know that in retrospect. You have to be curious, right? You have to be very open, probe, ask a lot of questions, understand, and adapt. That's the only way to move forward. So if I am, as a change manager, being very rigid on I have a particular framework, okay, what's step one, step two? Because many frameworks, that's what they suggest. But if you are not being curious, and if you're not probing into what's going to work and take one step at a time, where you experiment, you can't experiment in these transformations if you do not let go. If you hold on to, this worked for me in that company, that was a global organization, so it's going to work for you. That is where you get stuck. And to unstuck yourself from the scenario, I have realized that you just have to experiment and adapt. And that's only possible when you let go. And it's proven time and time again. There was another large digital transformation I did for a greenfield mine site. The same happened. They were going live for physical assets, and at the same time, we were going through the digital transformation. At one point, we just thought, no, this is a complex situation. Let's listen to the people. We realized they were overwhelmed by bombarding both the physical go live and the digital go live together. So we actually took a step back and said, nah, we need to step back. We need to leave them alone for 3 months to go through the teething issues with the physical implementation. And let's come back with the digital. Then there'll be much more trust in the process, rather than saying, okay, this is my project milestone, I'm sticking to it no matter. I think that's where we all start to lose. And if you really look at Viktor Frankl's framework about the stimuli and response, that pretty much sums the same, right? It's from the book Man's Search for Meaning. You would have definitely heard of it, or if at all read it. And the stimuli and response in the simplest form, I think, is true. It is the freedom to choose to respond and not react to situation. When you let go, you respond rather than react. So I think that's what's key and has helped me in my role as a change manager.
That's an interesting dimension which you got in when you are talking about. I was trying to go into that topic on my next question. I mean to say, if we have such a benefits of by letting go something, what is that holding back for people like me or someone who is not letting go it when there is so much of benefit? So what is it holding it back?
I always say having attachment to anything becomes your biggest strength and biggest weakness. For me personally, and right now, I do a lot of leadership development work, coaching and training leaders on a long-term basis. So they come to me at the start of the year and then they graduate towards the end of the year. And I do have one-on-one coachings. And I've done this for around 450 leaders now. And through that and through my personal experience, what I've felt is there's some common themes that really come out, Deepak. First is, people don't resist change, but this is something Ron Heifetz, the founder of adaptive leadership, who I've always learned from and look up to, says it's not change that people fear, because we always say people fear change. People fear loss. People fear uncertainty. Everything is good, even if it's mediocre, or even if we don't like our current scenario. We like the familiarity of it because we are auto-programmed. And that's, sorry, I just got a noise coming through my other computer. So what I've understood is the fear of uncertainty, even though it is awesome, prevents us from taking a leap and going for it, because we are so auto-programmed and we feel comfortable. Though for example, this happened to me 4 years ago. I let go of my permanent job and started my own business. The challenge for me leading up to it is I had finally got an opportunity in this organization that I've been trying to get into for 9 years. And it was 256 rejections before my first interview. And I did get the first interview and became part of this organization. But very shortly after getting in, I started working on my purpose, and I clearly understood, okay, this is not the role and place I need to be. But it's 9 years of working up to it. So letting go of that permanency, letting go of that stability and security took me through a lot of fear. And I have realized that I had attached my identity to something fancy or work for this large global organization. So for me, it was not only the fear of uncertainty and loss, but for me and many people, I find is we all attach ourselves, our identity, to our profession, the company we work for, the role that we are given, be it general manager or manager. We take pride in it, and that we make that our identity. And that's what was preventing me to living the life that I had dreamt of. And see, I have to admit, it's also ego, right? For example, this was 3 years when I initially started my facilitating practice, and I had somebody come and observe me. And in the first interview, they said, "Well done, you're doing great. There's nothing that I can tell." And there was a huge ego boost, right? And I went through the whole day. And at the end of the day, he started giving me some feedback, right? He was saying, "Why don't you sit up? You're always high energy. Why don't you use low energy and deep voice?" All solid advice. But trust me, this ego-driven me couldn't take it. I was like, you just said I was flawless. Why are you coming up with all these mind voices? And then I came home and I looked at it in retrospect and thought, that ego is what is preventing me from growing. And since then, I have been desperate in getting feedback. In fact, every time I leave a team after delivering a project for them, or when I'm facilitating, every half a day during facilitating, I'll ask them for feedback. And every time I finish a project, I ask the team, or every 3 months, I'll ask them, you have to tell me one thing I can do better. And then, people come up with, no, you're doing well. I said, no, I need to improve and tell me. So become a routine. So for me, the fear of uncertainty, identity, and our own personal ego. One more thing, no matter what happens for us, Deepak, we did it to ourselves or someone did it to us, there's always our accountability in it. Sometimes it's very easy to blame and play victim, and I have played victim in a lot of even toxic personal relationships that I've been for part of a long time. And one day I realized me letting something happen is my responsibility as well. So I took 50% responsibility and I said, I have to let go. So yeah, those are the few things I see with the leaders I coach and in my own personal self.
Yeah, that reminds me of a quote which Hal Tipper has said and which is there in this book is, letting go is the willingness to change your beliefs in order to bring more peace and joy into your life instead of holding into beliefs that bring pain and suffering. This is a quote by Hal Tipper. This is something which resonates me a lot, because when I looked at it in my past, I have shared this story a couple of times. When I lost my cousin who was just 54, and for a significant period of time, I did not speak to him, right? Just misunderstanding. It means when I lost him at the age of 50, almost 10 years, that is nothing but 25% of our life, we have not spoken to each other. That is something which hurt me a lot when I read this quote, and when I'm listening to you about our identity and especially the ego, which could have been we would have built in a lot of memories till now, and the life would have been different, and probably you never know, you could have been living with me for a long time. So I would resonate with whatever you said, and we all go through this, and it's not something easy to let go, because the thing is, the other way to look at it, from the holding on to it, right, gripping onto it, if something is doing beautifully well and something is helping us, if let go, while we continue to do let go, then it's holding on to our life, and our lives are becoming better and better, right? So why don't we practice of holding on to let go, right, and let go something which is not making sense for us. So that's something which I keep talking about it, and this is something which keep happening in our personal lives and professional lives, and you put it really well. Thank you, Kiru. And
sorry
go ahead.
to hear about your cousin, and thank you for being vulnerable and actually taking time to share that story with me and the audience, right? And these personal experiences, what gives those aha moments. And now I'm thinking, am I spending enough time with my family overseas, calling them and spending that time? So I really appreciate, and sorry to hear about your cousin, but sharing stories is a strength in the way of teaching others that they could learn from our mistakes as well. So I'm very appreciative of that. Thanks, Deepak.
Yeah, so there is the contrary for that again in the book. If I look at on the same context when I speak to the people, or what if for the we don't have that laughs, that relationships, that camaraderie, or that level of companionship for so many years. What do you remember in those 5 years, if it is 5 years? So how beautiful it is to have that. So I keep talking about it, and I keep maybe evangelizing it. So this is something to do with living rich and taking less to the grave. That is something which I'm trying to evangelize and say, live rich. So thank you.
Very profound. I really like the way you put it. Very profound. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Thank you. We are moving from there to our next this one, because the thing is, we have looked at what are the benefits of letting go, and we also understood uh, why people don't let it go, right? So there are two things. When this is so beautiful, why don't we do that? Then we get to the next situation of what strategies we can adapt if we have not done till now, so that we can ensure some of the things which are not letting us go. We can apply these strategies so that we can get better and we can get the benefits of letting go. So what strategies do you think you can help me in understanding?
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for the question. First of all, before I go into the strategies, the narrative, the stories we tell ourselves is very important on how easy it is for us to let go. And there's this beautiful book called On Emotional Agility by a person called Susan David. That's just the art of letting go and then embrace change, and how do you thrive personally and professionally. And the narrative, the story every day I tell myself. For example, we go to work in a car. Me and my partner we go together to work in the same car, and the heavy traffic that only gets more and more hectic to go to work. And the Stephen Covey circle of influence. We used to get very disappointed when someone, I'm just putting it lightly, right? You get angry when you indicate is speeding up rather than giving way, or people switching lanes without giving way, all that. But one thing I've understood is, if I start my day thinking, oh my God, I need to get through this traffic, these are things that's out of your control. What is the narrative is like, that's fine, I'll sit back, relax, I'll enjoy some music. And me and my partner these days, we do gratitude in the car, and that kind of distracts us, and we beautifully arrive at work. So it's very important what the narrative, what is the story am I telling myself that helps me or that blocks me or keeps me stuck from letting go. So I've changed a lot of story that I've told myself. You will actually like it when I know you're a student of Marshall Goldsmith. When I went to one of his classes a few years ago, he said, everybody pick up your phones. I want you all to message your partner and ask them what's that one thing you can do better for your relationship. And, I was in the very first row looking at him, so I didn't have a choice. I took my phone and I messaged my partner. And surprisingly, he said, let go of little things, right? Because, if there's dishes at the end of the day in the sink and not cleaned, I lose it. And if it's an untidy house, I lose it. So I just sat there and reflected. I was like, it's impacted him so much that he could have asked anything for me to be a better partner, right? He could have said, oh, we need to go for walks more, or we need to go away on holiday more. But he decided to tell this. And I put the mirror again back to me after that day, and I stopped picking on little things. And the magic is everything gets done beautifully, even, better than before. So it's about, am I keeping myself accountable? So I've had this practice of asking for feedback and then following up through the feedback and living up to it. If you're not ready, then don't ask. That's one way. And see, other things that's helped all the leaders and myself is mindfulness. And I'm very mindful, and this is something I learned from one of the general managers in the mine site that I worked for. He has a meeting for 30 minutes, and you can see him come out of the meeting, and he'll be standing there alone. Even if you pass by, say good morning, good afternoon, you can't hear him. But what apparently then I found out, we do mindfulness classes on site, is he comes out of the meeting and asks himself, okay, the next meeting I'm going to, how can I be fully present? What do they need from me? And that makes him let go of the pressures and all the takeaways from the previous meeting, and he's very mindful. So that's something that I've learned. So every time I come from a meeting, I don't carry things from the previous meeting and go into it. And this is something I've been teaching the leaders who train with me as well. And some leaders find it very difficult to go to sleep when they're working in high pressure situation. So I've actually asked them to carry a notebook with them wherever they go, and I have my own notebook here as well. And anything that comes to your mind, you write it down. The minute you write it down, you know there is some place you've recorded, and that has helped them to let go and fall asleep, or let go and wait until they come back to the work tomorrow or the next swing. So that's something that's worked. And just asking, right? Somebody a while ago told me, and it stuck like a glue in my head, is fear is not based on facts. Fear is actually an illusion that something could happen, and most of the time it does not happen, right? So asking myself the question, what is the worst that could happen, has really helped me let go. And yeah, those are the few things that's worked. And I also finally, at the end of the day, when I'm sleeping, I do hold stress in my body. So doing that mindful exercise and just realizing, where am I holding stress? I usually hold stress in my jaw a lot. And I also hold my hands like this. These are my two places that where I don't let go and holding on to something. It's a very symbolic representation in my body. So just doing a check-in of my body and where I'm holding the stress and letting go before I unwind for the day has already also helped, Deepak.
That's fantastic, Kiru. Actually, I was trying to think through what all the things what we have written as a strategies in the
Yeah.
book. I think you touched upon most of them, and I think that's the way uh, we could unwind and get out of the complex situations, because holding on to it and trying to live with the challenges is not easy. So what it says is, letting go is not carelessness, it is not running away from the problems, it is a conscious choice, one made after weighing the positives and negatives, considering the impacts and the understanding of the perspectives. It's about releasing the grip of ego and pride to embrace the beauty of shared moments. So this is something which you mentioned as the strategies, right? Self awareness, and also getting the feedback, being ready, writing down, and asking for help, and uh, fear is not a fact, it is just an illusion. So I think you covered most of it beautifully, and thanks a lot for that. And now we are coming to the end of it, and for me, let go is something which has stepped me up from what I was doing, where I was, and what I'm looking at right now. So, what is your current let go is? Where is it stepping up? And what is your message to the listeners and the viewers of this podcast?
Okay. See, currently what I'm working on, and this is a continuous process, so I really appreciate you asking this question, is because it's not a one job done, because I always feel I continuously keep evolving to be my best self. And if today I've doing something for the last 6 weeks, and if it's not working, if I keep doing it, I'm going to get the same result. And if I'm not happy with the results, I need to evolve. And so my current letting go process is actually, I have an idea for an app and I really want to give it a go. But what is happening to me at the moment is I have this well-established practice that it's taken a lot of hard work and sweat and 90 hours a week every single day for probably a decade or so to get up to this point. And when it's going really well, you would ask yourself this crazy question, why? But in order for me to try and test or give it a go, I have to let go of certain things because I need to make space. So there is space, I'm sure I can't add more to my 70, 90 hour week. So I need to make space for something to come in. And if that's what your purpose is leading you to, that's the difficulty I'm going through. Have I sorted it out all? No, Deepak, but it's a well-timed conversation, and I always think everything happens for a reason. And I even think this conversation here today is pushing and propelling me and giving that same wake-up call to me. Kiru, practice what you preach. You want to try this out, you have to let go of few things, let go of your maybe a safe income or revenue, little part of it, so you have space to do something else. So that's currently my letting go process. And like Ron Hayford says, giving work back to the people. As leaders, the leaders who come to my training, the leaders who think they know everything are the leaders who take the least out of the learning experience. So letting go is also very important when it comes to leadership in professional life. Is the more you learn, the less you know, right? And you would attest for that, being an author, how much research you would have gone through. And every time you read a research or a book, oh my God, there's much more for me to learn. So as leaders, what I would like to lead this conversation with is be curious. The more you think you know, the less you're going to learn, the less you're going to be complacent, and you're going to hold and grip onto that self and never evolve. So it's my humble request to be curious rather than not letting go.
That's fantastic closing, Kiru. Actually, be curious and be hungry. This is what Steve Jobs keep telling all of us, and you reiterated it now. Thanks a lot for fantastic conversation. Always the conversations make the life beautiful, and also give us the way how things can change, and small changes would help for a long impact. So with that, thanks a lot for your time, and thanks for taking up the opportunity to be part of us and explaining the journey and how important LetGo is for all of us. Thanks a lot, Kiru. So nice of you.
Absolute pleasure, Deepak. I've known you for quite some time, though I haven't, had a lot of conversations with you. I hold you with a lot of, respect for the fact you always turn up curious. You always want to know more, and making those quality conversations in relationship to see what the other person has to say. And I have watched few of your episodes in this podcast as well. Amazing guest and great value you're adding. So please continue to keep up the good work. Once again, very humbling and grateful for this chat and conversation, Deepak. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Thanks a lot. You have a wonderful one.
Thank you. See ya.